those who remained were never the same. You could see the fear in their eyes. Once every year, as the 14th draws near, there's a hush.
Hello, James here. Welcome to another episode of CineMarks, joined once again by the star of the show, Mr. Paul London. Paul,
how many times do I have to tell you that we're both the faces of this podcast? There's no star. So, but
the
thank
stars.
you. No, cool.
Thanks. If recording goes fine and if editing goes okay, happy Valentine's.
Yeah, happy Valentine's Day. My least favorite holiday of all the holidays.
Really?
Yeah, my parents got divorced on Valentine's Day when I was 8.
Right. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, no, it's okay. It's one of those holidays that's really, you only look forward to it to get candy, so it's kind of like a weak ass Halloween to me. Especially because, you're either going to get a heart-shaped box of chocolates, Red Hots, other kind of red gummy or cinnamony candies, or if you're lucky, you'll get a fucking bleeding heart in your Valentine box. So,
oh yeah.
that's what leads us to today's Canadian classic.
Emphasis on the word Canadian.
Oh, this is the most Canadian film I think I've ever seen since Rock and Roll Nightmare. So
Right.
we'll
It was
cover that.
It was this My Bloody Valentine, the original 1981 where we're recording. It was filmed in I forgot the name of the mine, but in Nova Scotia. I'm like, oh, this must be literally Rene Dupree's territory. Must be round the corner from him.
It's got to be in his backyard, right? We should have had him on here to give us some geography tidbits on how it works. But I believe it was Nova Scotia though, whereas I think he's in New Brunswick. Again, I'm not sure where it's all over there in the Northeast Maritimes.
It's in Canada.
Yeah.
The Maritimes.
Yeah.
Sorry, Canadian fans, both of you. but yeah, My Bloody Valentine. So made in 1981. So this was at the peak of slasher horror. Halloween's already came out. My Friday the 13th, year beforehand. Yeah, the likes of Prom Night coming out during these times. So this was at the peak of the slasher movie craze.
Yeah, and this was also at the tail end of I want to say it ended in 82. I could be wrong, but there was a big tax credit going on in Canada, which is where a lot of these, Black Christmas, Terror Train. A lot of these films ended up getting made because there was a tax shelter, and so if you were able to put these movies out at a certain time, you would get a lot of tax breaks. And My Bloody Valentine was conceived. It was one of those things that I believe the company was Cinepix, who was also responsible for doing Shivers and Rabid. But they wanted to jump on board of this holiday themed horror, with the success of Halloween and April Fool's Day, I think might have already been out by this time. Friday the 13th. Yeah, and so it's funny though because the original title for this film was The Secret.
Yeah.
And they thought, let's veer back towards a holiday-based title, especially because they wanted to get this film out in time for Valentine's of February of 81. It was released February 11th, 1981, and I think they started shooting it in September of 80, the year before.
Oh, wow.
So they were on a very tight schedule, pretty tight.
Yeah, I was I was looking at some of the production notes. So the mine they actually filmed in, so they filmed in the actual mine, which was credit. I give them credit for that. But it was already closed for like 5 years. But the people who owned the mine before and apparently scrubbed it clean or whatever they'd done. So when the production team came in, they had to literally paint all the walls on the inside the mine black to make it really dark. And
So,
one of the other problems was because it was only closed for a few years, there was still like methane gas inside the mine.
yeah,
So they had to clear out about 6 or 7 times, and like they had to change the light bulbs because the bulbs was too hot. And to
yeah,
save the cast and crew getting killed in a fiery explosion, they had to like pay for like these expensive bulbs and all these other things. So that's what sent the budget of the film higher than what it should have been. Because I think all in all, the budget of the film was 2.7 million,
okay.
and it turned over.
I think
Sorry, it
six.
was 2.3 million.
And it brought in, I think, about six at the box office initially, right? Because I think it got
Yeah,
released on 1,200 screens. I mean, it was a wide release, surprisingly,
mm,
you know. But yeah, I had seen that as well. That since these were coal mines, methane gas is a byproduct of coal,
mm,
and so yeah, I mean, it was pretty dangerous, and they were shooting, you know, over 1,200 feet down in the ground in these mines. So it took an hour just to get equipment and crew and various shifts just all down there. Um, so it's almost like your call time. They had to add an hour at the front of it and then at the end of it just to account for the travel going down and up and out of these mines. So pretty intense. That gave me a whole respect for the film, just how they shot it.
mm,
Um, Pretty much all of it was on location, and yeah, like you said, they had the selection between this one and another mine, and I guess the other mine, and I'm blanking on the names, but the other mine had become very much like a tourist attraction at the time, and so it was not it didn't really suit the production. And with this one, as you mentioned, yeah, the town apparently were so embarrassed of its current condition and thought this big movie's coming to shoot here, like we need to make it presentable, that they spent, I don't know if it was 25 to 50,000, somewhere in that realm, and then the production company ended up having to, yeah, pay to dirty it back up and make it look
yeah.
grimy again. So it's kind of funny, um, very funny actually.
Well, so start the film opens up. There's two miners walking through the mine, and I mean, if this is what the miners looks like, then sign me up. One of the miners strips down, and this is blonde, and I had to laugh. So that the other miner keeps the mask on, and they've got the nozzle, and the girl's like rubbing the nozzle, like she's jacking the nozzle off.
Yeah, I thought that was an interesting choice. And this is after she exposes that she has the heel sensational Sherry Shawn Michaels
Yeah,
heart tattoo over her fucking like left tit or something. And I thought, this is interesting. This is getting good. Yeah, she starts stroking the
nozzle.
oxygen hose.
Yeah, was yeah.
Yeah.
And the miner who's with her, he puts the pick into the beside her, and all of a sudden, when he touches it, it triggers something, and he grabs her and pushes her onto the pickaxe, and the pickaxe comes exactly right through where the heart was. So, for opening death, what do you rank it? Pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I thought, um, yeah, here's the thing. I mean, I think this is a film that uh, either connects with people or it doesn't. And I I didn't love it.
Hmm.
I think I enjoyed the remake more than this original version. But all in all, people might wonder, well, I wonder why Harry Warden is never mentioned, with the likes of like Jason and Freddy and Myers and Leatherface and Pinhead, all these, other heavyweights. And I agree that he, should be mentioned. I think the character, the miner, is a great visual, but I feel that there's kind of a disconnect. How many people have experience in mines, or how many people grow up in a mining town, and how many people can really kind of
Mm.
relate with a lot of this stuff. Um, and I don't know. I mean, I feel like there's a bit of a disconnect there. Just, is it that scary? Okay, well, just don't go to a mining town. Just don't go into the mines, and you're fine. Like, problem solved. So um, I liked the opening shot. I thought it was interesting, and it kind of catapulted things going forward. So yeah, it's what you want with a '80s slasher film. Start off with a little cleavage and a nice death after jerking off somebody's mining map.
I'm guessing because I was trying to figure out as I was watching it because it was the first time I watched it myself the other day. I'm guessing this killing is current day of the movie setting, not 20 years beforehand.
And that's what was also confusing to me, because there wasn't any kind of little subtext to say, the date, or, present day or whatever. And so
Mm.
I was a little confused on that as well. I didn't know, but it had to be modern time, because there was those inklings that this might be happening again. And then they start kind of unraveling that there's backstory here, I think 20 years prior. And
Yeah,
then all this stuff.
she definitely looked like 80s, not 60s. When I think about
Yeah,
how the girl actually looked,
true,
um,
true.
but it does go to the next bit. It says Thursday, February 12th, so it's a couple of days before Valentine's. And there's the group in the mine, and you see the main guy, TJ. So TJ's character. So apparently he left the town. Valentine town's called Valentine Bluffs, I think it's called.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
he must have tried to try and make it in the big city. TJ did, but failed miserably.
yeah.
Something
Went
I
out
can
west.
something I can relate to. um, and he obviously returns home, goes working back in the mine again. But when he went away, he left his girlfriend Sarah, and since then, Sarah's hooked up with another guy in town, Axel, and they all leave the mine. They race off to the hall. Everyone's got a girlfriend, and it's going to be the first Valentine's dance in 20 years.
Now, who is TJ's father? He was the mayor of the town, isn't he? Or is he was it
Thinks
not the sheriff? It was the mayor, I believe, right?
I think it was the mayor. Yeah, I don't think it was the
Okay.
chief or sheriff, as I always call the head police guy sheriff. I just got him wrote down as sheriff. Haven't got a clue
Why?
what his
Why
name is.
there are no sheriffs in Canada, so
Right, right. He's a
there's
chief then.
yeah. Well, these, and that's the thing, is like, this film is so Canadian, and they didn't hide it too much at all. They didn't try to put on American accents. I mean, like, they're you want a history lesson, or you want a class in Canadian accents, like, watch this film, because it's so Canadian. Even the end credits song, "The Ballad of Harry Warden," this is
Yeah.
Scottish Canadian songwriter. So it's so good in that sense. And so, I imagine Canadians would be very proud of this film, and with, it's probably the most popular of the Canadian slashers that came out during this era, I would think. I mean, hell, it had a mega successful remake in 2009, for that matter.
Hmm,
Um, I think that drew in close to 90 million. Of course,
really?
it had a much bigger budget. Yeah, I mean, it was a much bigger budget, but yeah, I saw somewhere that it had pulled in almost like 90 million. and it had the whole 3D gag and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. So um, I didn't know what to expect watching this film. I knew that it was a slasher. I knew that it was put together pretty quickly. Um, and all in all, I thought it was very fun. There are parts that kind of drag, but yeah. So it introduces us to this backstory that there was this character Harry Warden, who, from what I understand, he was like trapped down in the mines or something, or he was
Mm.
thrown down there. What was the backstory there? It was like,
Yeah. So, well, the barkeep. Well, before we go to the barkeep, the reason I thought the woman's death was recent is because as the sheriff and the mayor's driving off, the mayor's got a heart-shaped box, which is one of my favorite Nirvana songs. Um,
oh yeah, nice.
he opens it up and there's a heart, and I think they say it's a woman's heart, so I presume it was the woman from earlier.
Yeah,
But but yeah, so all the mining guys and girls are at the bar, and it's the barkeep, Hal, I think his name is.
yeah.
Um,
He was one of the
so
best characters, in my opinion, because it was like the crazy Ralph in Friday the
yes,
13th. You know what I mean? Like,
very
have
much so.
fun with
Yeah.
you. Yeah, this guy was just a he was just so mean and foreboding, like throughout every shot that you saw of the barkeep. He was just like, "You little bastards, you're gonna learn, you're gonna pay, mark my words." It's like, just serve me my fucking drink and shut up. Like, god damn it, like, yo, you little idiots, you're gonna pay. Harry Warden's coming for you. You just watch. It's like, God, this is the only barkeep in town, really? But did you notice at
I
the
think
end
it
of the
is.
towards the end, yeah, it was towards the end of the film. I think it's TJ says women aren't allowed in the mines. Remember, because they
Mm.
all go down there towards the end. And so that was the thing that I thought was kind of weird. I thought, well, how did I guess because they dressed her up? Was she a miner who got killed, or did they just put her in coveralls to disguise her to get her down there? Because that is something
So
that's mentioned at the end. Is like women aren't allowed in the mines.
so spoiler alert. I won't say who the killer is yet. We'll build up to it, but I'm guessing the killer by the end he seduces her and it's like, oh, come down here. We'll have some fun down here. And he
Yeah,
dresses
that's
her
true.
up, and so some sort of a kink.
Okay,
Don't want to
sure.
kink, not kink shaming everyone, but I'm guessing that was his kink, as you see
Want
out
to go
throughout the film.
fucking a bunch of methane gas and
Very
surrounded by
much it.
coal and down, have at it.
Oh yeah. So yeah, so how the barkeep? So he recounts a story. I think there was like 8 or 9 miners. Like it was Valentine's Day 20 years previously, and everyone's having the party in the town, and the 8 or 9 miners are working, in the mines, and I don't think they checked the methane levels, and there was like an explosion, bit of a
That's right.
cave in, and only one guy survived, Harry Warden, and they found him, and he was eating one of the other miners' arms or legs, so
That's
sent him
right.
crazy. I think they kept him in a mental asylum for a year. Then he broke out and just went on this mad killing spree.
Yeah, he kind of when they show him, he kind of looked like one of those creatures from The Descent. You know what I
Yes.
mean? He's like, "Ah!" So I thought, yeah, that was interesting. It makes you wonder if Harry Warden was a name that they tried to create similar to. Now, mind you, I don't think. Hmm. I mean, see, I don't think Jason Voorhees had been put in the spotlight at the time yet, because I think this is before Friday the 13th Part Two.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, part one
Somewhere just
was
around Friday the
1980.
13th Part
Yeah.
Two. Um, but it does have a simple kind of name like that, like a Harry Warden. Well, that's not a scary name, right?
Mm.
Um, it's interesting. And that might be another reason. Maybe it hasn't catapulted into the upper strata of horror icons, but I'm sure in some people's eyes they'll be like, "Are you kidding? Harry Warden he's one of the icons," and like, "Yeah, he's one of the heavy hitters." And it's like, well, how come there's only one My Bloody Valentine film? And why is there, well, the remake? I think there was talk of a sequel. I think they had written,
Oh yeah, there's
um,
loads. I actually wrote about the sequel plans.
yeah, Revenge of the Miner and stuff like that. But again, it's one of those things, you know what I mean? Where is it that terrifying to people? Can they connect with that? And I think that's why the remake went with the 3D gimmick, was because you knew that you could draw in an audience with a 3D gimmick, um, because it's at least going to be a fun, kind of visually interactive ride, and it did really, really well. It wasn't until after the negative feedback of the film that they decided not to do a sequel to the 2009 remake,
hmm.
which is kind of a shame because it financially did very well. Um, so who knows? There could be something on the horizon. I have a feeling we haven't seen the end of Harry Warden, but as it stood in the film, yeah, he was this lone survivor of the explosions in the mine. He was this kind of cannibalistic freak and got put in the asylum and shipped off somewhere. Um, yeah, similar to like a Smith's Grove with Michael Myers, and got shipped off to the asylum. That's where they used to send everybody. Ship them off to the asylums until Reagan came and did away with all those insane asylums. But we still need them. We need insane asylums. We really do.
We do these days. If you
We
just look
so-
on, just look at. No, sorry for people with mental health issues, but honestly, look at Twitter and you realize we need
God,
mental asylums.
bad, badly.
Yeah. So TJ goes to talk to Sarah to try and patch things off, but she's not having any of it at the time being. So next scene, basically we go to Mabel, not the wrestler Mabel, but the old lady Mabel.
I
That would have
love
been
Mabel.
that would have been great if Mabel was in this movie.
Oh, well, I don't think he would have fit in the mines, man. Rest in
or
peace.
or the laundry.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I
Uh,
thought I thought the old lady Mabel, I thought she was a sweet character, and I thought there were some real tender moments here between her and the sheriff. Um, Even though I think he mentions his wife, at some point early on, but there's a slight flirtation here between the sheriff and Mabel, and did they exchange heart-shaped Valentine's boxes? And yeah, it's some of the more tender moments of the film are with Mabel, and just her facial reactions and reading the note and everything. I thought it was really neat. And they talk about how um, she helped decorate the entire town. And when I say help decorate the entire town, I mean um, every laundry, every dryer and washer has this
yeah,
like decorations on them. I mean, this is the most decorated town I think I've ever seen. But again, if you're in a small mining town and this is just one of those things that the town ends up deciding they're going to do, I guess it's something that everyone looks forward to. There's not a whole lot going on here
yeah.
in this town. There's not a lot of um, places to get your excitement. So, but I had also read that the actual town that they shot this in, everyone helped decorate this town. So there
Right.
was some elements of realism there where it was just like, this is neat. The town feels like it really um, participated in designing this film. So that was pretty
It
cool.
it does. I mean, I know it's a film, but it does feel real. Like, yes, this is a real small town kind of with a. This does actually feel like a real mining town,
Sure.
and that's what I do love about it. Like, it does actually feel like a real community, a real town, and it's not just fake sets and fake props. It actually feels like a living town, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You get a lot of like for me, I got a sense of the deer hunter
Hmm.
in this film because similar thing where those are just small mining towns, and it's like if you're not going to grow up to work at the mines, like what life do you have? So and I think I even read somewhere that the director George Mihalka had said that they were trying to do almost like the Deer Hunter of slasher films or something. So I thought that was pretty interesting,
Yeah.
just because there are those similarities in setting. So, but yeah, he gets the heart shaped box. Well, we see the kids. They're at the laundromat. I think they scare Mabel, and she spills some of her decorations and stuff like that. And the sheriff's there, and he's not too keen on it. There's always a comedic foil. What was his name? It was like
Howard.
Howard. Yeah, that's right,
Yeah.
Howard. Um, and I thought he was pretty good. I liked this character. In addition to what was the other one with the H? Howie or
Hollis, the big guy with the
Howard. Yeah,
mustache.
that one. This character I really really liked. But we get introduced to a lot of these characters right here. This group of friends that the guys all work in the mines, and the girls all wait for their men to come back from their hard work down in the mines so they can rub them down and give them their moose head beers or whatever it was that was
Yeah.
prominently featured in the film. And there's not a lot of different locations in this film, which I think adds to that small town feel like you were talking about. If there were just if the film was shot here and there and all over the place, it may not have had the same kind of intimate feeling that it did, but
Yeah.
you don't get a whole lot of
Now there's like,
changing.
I think there's like 5, maybe 6 places. You've got the hall at
Yeah,
the beginning. I think you see that once. The bar we go to a couple of times. Obviously, the
mhm.
mines, the mining office next to it,
The
and
laundromat,
laundromat, and probably the
gas
police
station.
station.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, it's literally 6 places. But we go back to the laundromat. We see someone stalking Mabel through the window, and she opens the box and she reads the note saying, you're dead too. Miner chases her, kills her,
I
and
thought
then
that was a sad bit too, though, for me because we see the miner. He pushes in he's watching Mabel. You get the POV uh, shot watching, which from what I understand, Carpenter was influenced from Black Christmas,
hmm,
which is another one of those Canadian tax credit films, um, to get that kind of that POV shot. But we see that here a little bit, and he's watching Mabel through the laundromat, and she goes through to the back door or through the back to a back storage area, and he enters the mine or he enters the laundromat, and then he kind of ducks over to the side, and
hmm,
I kind of laughed because I pictured Mabel coming out, and then she notices the heart-shaped Valentine on the table, thinking, "Oh, somebody left me a Valentine. Like this is really sweet." And she's reading it all tender. And he's like just behind her, watching
out
this
of
whole
frame.
thing.
Yeah,
He's like he's waiting for her to like read the punchline, which
yeah,
is I can't remember what the exact words were, but it was basically something along the lines of roses are red, violets are blue, two are dead, and so now so are you, or something along.
yeah,
And
yeah,
then her tone changes where she's realizing like this is not funny, and then he comes out. He's like, okay, I'm tired of hiding behind the dryer, and he stalks her, and she almost gets away, and there's a really neat shot of her running or trying to escape through the back, and she's coming through the back, and then he grabs her, and she gets pulled back through.
yeah,
And I thought that was the camera work here is really good. I thought for especially for working at such an accelerated pace, um, because they were putting in long days on this film, from what I understood, and then had to implement a second unit at some point as well during the shooting of this. So even when they were done shooting first unit stuff, the director and they were still having to go and work on some second unit things to get other shots. But I thought this was a very effective kill, and I thought that was something that was pretty interesting. Was that they did establish these characters as much as they could, and nobody wants to see the sweet old lady who
No.
is trying to gussy up the town and bring some joy back to this town that has a dark history to it. And there's that warning of somewhere along the lines, that warning comes along of, if you have a dance like this, people are going to keep dying. And that's what Mabel was trying to do, was just kind of bring some joy back to the town. She didn't make it.
Nope.
Mabel.
Quickly goes to the next scene. It's the junkyard, and you see the group of lads. You see Axel there. TJ tries to talk to him, but they're having a bit of conflict over Sarah. And
they used to be friends. They used to be friends, or they were friends. And I think TJ even says, I like that guy. You know what I mean? But he's like, look, man, you left. Like, you should have stayed gone too. Like, we're much better off without you having, like, when you were away, it was better. Now you're back. It's like you're bringing all this drama. Because TJ's a bit of an emo, sulking throughout at the bar. He's sulking, and he's kind of just, bit of a red herring as well. Because you're sitting here watching this guy. He's got a dark complexion. I can't remember the actor's name. Paul something.
Yeah, I think he passed away beginning of last year, sadly.
Oh, sadly, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought everyone did pretty good for their roles. But yeah, they're at the junkyard. They're trying to cook something. Hollis and some of these guys are cooking some sort of meat over some little fire over a junk car or something. I didn't quite get all that part.
Some Canadian tradition, we'll ask Renee.
Yeah, they're having some Canadian bacon, some female bacon or something. And there's a slight tension here, of a near standoff. Actually, they do almost kind of start roughing it up here.
Nearly, yes. Gets crawled down. But yeah, so it takes us to the next morning, and the sheriff basically tries to call the asylum because the autopsy said this heart was from like a young woman, and calls the asylum because he thinks it's Harry Warden, and they said we've had no Harry Warden on our details, and we're just confusing because even if he was checked in, you would know, but unless he moved, and so that part didn't make sense. But he goes to visit Mabel and calls for her, doesn't hear her, then smells something, opens the dryer, and there's Mabel's body swimming around there.
Yeah, she almost pops out of the dryer. He's smelling. He's something's kind of off. He smells his pipe, and he can't quite put his finger on it. And yeah, he's looking in one of the areas, and then she pops out of the dryer next to him, all burned, and it's horrific.
Good gore effects, though.
Yeah, I thought the gore was really good. It's funny too because there was like about, I think, 9 minutes.
A lot. You can tell when you watch it.
I think I saw a theatrical cut of this film where it was pretty edited, or at least I saw like the Canadian theatrical release because it was
I think I watched the full version.
Neat.
Because some of the killings, you notice that it looks completely different the way it's shot.
Okay.
It's like it's been restored. So you got the film where it looks fine, but then when you see some of the killings, and I'll get into them later, it's like it's been shot different. Like the grain is more grainy and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not as polished as the rest of the film.
Yeah,
I
that's what
think
I
they're the
think.
part. Is that what you saw?
Yeah, because there's a kill I'm sure we'll get to in a little bit towards the end in the showers where
Hmm.
you don't see what happened to her. You see more of a profile side shot of the
Right.
kill. So it was weird. But it was the MPAA came down on it pretty hard, and they cut out 9 minutes of mostly just that gore.
Yeah.
Um, so that's sad.
So the chief, he wants to cover up the death to prevent panic, and he sees the letter to the warning. So the mayor decides to cancel the Valentine's dance. It says it's out of respect for Mabel. They say she's had a heart attack. Um, so yeah, TJ kidnaps Sarah, but to be fair, she doesn't put up much of a fight. She's like,
Right,
no,
right.
no, TJ, no, TJ, and then she's happily sat in the car with him.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Takes her out to the bluffs, and this is one of those second unit shots that they shot of the surrounding area, and it just happened to be a very nice day that day as the sun was coming down. But they were hoping it was going to be like really gloomy and everything. But you take what you can get. Um, and he's pretty aggressive. He's telling her like, you still want to be with me, and
mm,
Axel's just kind of a backup plan in case I never came back and couldn't contact you because there was no internet and no phones, and you didn't want to see what I was like out there. I fell on my ass or something. I can't remember how he says it, but he's still
yeah,
whining. And they kiss here, I think, don't they?
yeah. Like one of the things he says, "Do you remember this spot?" And I'm thinking, well, it's a pretty small town, TJ. I'm pretty sure she'll remember. Um, overlooking the sea. But yeah, they have a kiss, and we go to Sarah. She's walking home at night, which isn't very wise. And there's a jump scare, like a torch. You think it's the miner's helmet, but it's not. It's the chief, and yeah, the barman. Let me get this right. Yeah, the barman's talking, and he says, "Heart attack, my ass." It's Harry Warden. Like the barman keeps warning everyone.
You know,
So the men and women, because they're not. That's the thing. What's different about this movie? It's not teenagers. Teenagers.
uh,
It's men and women in like early to mid 20s, I would say.
yeah, yeah. And I thought
So
that was kind of something that set it apart as well. Whereas you take like most of the other slasher films, and they're a lot of the victims are teenagers, and here it was like, yeah, just these young adults that really had nowhere else, nothing else going in life but to just stay there and work in the town. That's all they know.
yeah,
So
and they're in the bar, and obviously the hall's been cancelled, so they all decide to we'll have a party in the mine. And TJ says it's great. We've got a pool table, and we've got a kitchen and blah blah blah. So yeah, and TJ. So this is the part. Like TJ is a bit of a red herring who warns Hal not to tell anyone that they're going to be having this party in the near the mines. So Hal,
this was
he's very very drunk, and he goes to the the mines. I'll get you bastards, and he sets up like this fake prop basically of the miner's outfit, and inside his I don't know cupboard. So when you open the door, the pickaxe gets raised up.
it's good. It's
So
like a really generic like haunted house scare
yeah,
that he sets up. It's like one of those things you get like Spirit Halloween or whatever, or if you step on the little circle, it activates the 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 dummy or whatever to be like, "Rah!" And he
yeah,
like puts it back it up, and he tests it a few times. He opens the door, and it comes forward with the axe, and he's like, "This'll show them, the bastards," or something. Like he's so proud of this little gag, um, and he keeps checking on it, and
mm,
then he checks on it one time too many, and it's actually Harry Warden. He sticks the freaking pickaxe right up into his chin, which
it
I
comes
thought
through
was
his eye.
pretty. Oh, it went through his eye.
No.
Up
Got
his
the
chin.
pickaxe I think it was his upper mouth. It might have been through his
Oh
chin.
yeah,
Upper mouth and went straight through his eye. So
that's
you did
good.
see. So you did see that, Fen.
Yeah, no, I did
So,
see that part. Yeah.
right. So that is the restored one because that was originally cut out.
Oh, neat. Okay, cool.
Yeah, and it's actually a great effect as well.
Yeah, no, I liked that. I liked that evil or the crazy Hal, the barkeep, full of warnings and sound advice was he met his own match with his own Halloween gag here.
Definitely the crazy Ralph of the movie because obviously part two, Crazy Ralph, eventually gets it as well.
I know. Sad.
I think Crazy Ralph was one of the worst red herrings for Friday the 13th, the original.
You're all doomed.
Yeah.
Doomed. He's on his bicycle.
Um, so that's the end of Hal. So next date's Valentine's Day, February 14th. There's a, package for the chief, and it was actually a cake from Mabel. So there was a bit of flirting between the two. Everyone goes for the party at the mining office, and one of the guys enters the kitchen. Sorry, I forgot his name, and he overlooks this hot dog pot what's boiling, and
Yeah, he's sitting there and he's intrigued by all the dongs floating in the water,
yeah,
and he looks, and then he gets his head. Apparently they put some chemical. I can't remember what they did, but they put something in the water to make it bubble because they couldn't obviously have it boiling
mm,
and stick the guy's face in there. But they had put something in there. It might have even just been like Alka-Seltzer. I don't think it was Alka-Seltzer, but they put something in the water to have it bubble to give that effect for when the hot dog lover gets his face shoved into the dongs and he's gone. This is very much a movie too where it's like, you know, hey, I'll be right back or something. Like it's a lot of
yeah.
those tropes of horror films that Scream really brought to light um, decades later. I
Mm.
guess 15 years later.
Yeah, it's not
Um,
much, is it, when you think about it?
I know it's really not.
Well, I was talking to my wife today. I'm like, "Well, Courtney, it's scary." She went, "What?" I said, "We're closer to 40 than we are 20 now."
Yeah,
And it's like I went to college to do construction like when I was 16, and I'm like,
Jesus.
"Wow, that's literally more than half my life ago now." That's like 17
Wow.
years ago. It's just crazy to think. I'm like, "Wow, that's crazy." Like how quick time actually flies by.
Yeah,
It's like,
but
well, there you go. My believe Valentine to Scream is 15 years. I think Scream was out in 96,
yeah,
97 maybe,
96. This was out
96.
in 81.
Yeah. So 15 years from now will be 2048. No, 2038, sorry.
Yeah, I don't want to think about it.
I don't know where I'll
But
be
also,
then.
just goes to show, don't stick your head down in the hot dog pot because you're just
But,
asking for it.
well, speaking of dogs, so we go to the chief's office, and he hears these dogs barking outside, and they're fighting each other for this bloody box. Are these wild dogs?
Yeah, yeah.
That
Mining dogs.
Canada is wild.
I feel like they were actually just wild dogs that they somehow found on set because at first they look like they want to attack the sheriff
Yeah.
when he's there, and bless this actor, he was brave that he was just like, no, I need to get to the Valentine that's dripping in blood, but yet he picks it up with bare hands anyways.
Mm.
Who gives a shit about DNA or evidence, right? Like, I'm just gonna pick up this overly bloody box that I'm sure is blood, but I'm gonna pick it up with my own hands anyways. Like, it's just a different time back then.
Yeah.
And yeah,
and he reads the letter. It says, "In fact, the party hasn't been stopped." So he's thinking, "Where's this party gonna be?" So I think he eventually puts two and two together. But it's gonna be at the mines. But yeah, so we cut back to the party, and Sarah's just basically getting fed up of Axel now.
She's
Like,
getting fed up
she's
with
had a,
both of them.
yeah, pretty much. And
Yeah.
TJ taunts Axel, and they end up having a fight. And our man Hollis, he grabs the two of them like they're his kids.
He's
Settle it.
great. Hollis is the heart of this movie, no pun intended, but like he's, you know, where you would think like the big fat guy with the hipster beard or hipster mustache is kind of the comedic foil. Like that's like you mentioned this other characters, they're almost like a little team. But yeah, Hollis breaks them up and he's like, come on guys, not like no fighting, like come on. And definitely in my opinion, next to Mabel, is the most likable character in the film. So and he's got his girlfriend Patty or something with him, and she's all rubbing him and
Yeah.
proud of her big burly man.
Hey man, those big burly men. We know how to
That's
please them.
right. That's right. Next time we see you, you're gonna have a mustache.
Oh, I'm not cool enough to carry that off.
Sure you are. Come on. Are you
If
kidding
I
me?
if I grew a mustache, I look like I'd be on a register.
No, you could just shave everything right here, right now, and you would look awesome.
I think I tried it once for fun. I was shaving my beard off. I think I was going to shave the whole lot off anyway. But I shaved it off and just left the mustache. I'm like, yeah, I look like some biker from the Blue Oyster Bar. It does not suit me.
Maybe when we get to when we get to 1,000 subscribers, we'll both sport a mustache, and we'll let the
What
people decide.
li
Yay or nay.
a live stream shave.
That's it. Well, I don't know about the live stream shave, but we'll do the live stream with our mustaches. You know.
So we go to the next scene. So there's a couple kissing. The guy's called John, and she goes, "You know what would be great now?" And he's like, "Yeah, I've already got it." He rips out a condom, and she's like,
Yeah,
"No, beers." And I'm like, "Does that happen to anyone? Like when you're in that scene and the girl asks you to go and get beers?"
that was a bizarre little bit there. Right before that, though, she asks because they're in the mining, I guess, dressing room or something, or like the
Yeah,
shower facility area, and so she's asking how they get the suits down, and he's like, "You gotta yank on this little deal and get the hook off," and he shows her how they get their mining suits to come down that we'll see into play here shortly. Because it's pretty neat uh, and kind of a dramatic effect of this big outfit dropping down from the ceiling.
yeah,
So yeah, she asks him to go get some beers. He's like, "Yeah, no problem. I'm the beer bitch." And he walks and he's, "I'll be right back." And he goes off. And she says, "I want to go with you." And then he's like, "No, no, 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 stay here by yourself.
yeah.
Like I'll be right back." Um, Later he's gonna come to regret that decision.
Well, he
Very
goes to
soon.
the goes up to the kitchen, and there's a couple of the girls in there. And he's talked to him, and he opens the fridge, and there's blatantly the other guy's body in there, and he doesn't
Yeah, hot dog
notice.
guy.
Yeah, hot dog that guy, that's his name. So this is the thing about this movie, everyone. Like you're watching it, they do not reveal these characters' names till like the end before they get killed, basically.
Or the
So some of
Canadian
them,
accent is so thick that it's hard to really catch it at first.
yeah, that's true. Well, there's one girl, I thought her name was Carrie, but I think it's Harriet.
Oh,
So
okay. The girl
yeah,
that stayed back that asked for the
no,
beers, that was a different girl. I can't remember what her name was. It was like
I,
Susie or
might have been.
something.
I don't know if it got revealed. Like, because I wrote
It
these
did.
people down. This couple of
Yeah.
kissing. I'm like, oh John, it's John.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. So Sylvia, her name is
Sylvia, that's right. That's
Sylvia.
right. Yeah.
So Sylvia gets scared because, like you said, the costumes, the suit starts dropping, and you see before this, you see the miners start turning taps on, and
Yeah.
she's led down. All the suits keeps dropping. She's running off, and she runs into him, and he grabs her and impales the back of her head onto a tap or onto
He
the
picks her
pipe,
up
actually.
by like her head,
Yeah.
and he picks her up and carries her for a good little distance too. And I thought this was pretty effective. I thought the dropping of the suits was a pretty neat Halloween type of effect too. It was just like, I mean, that would be pretty terrifying.
Mm.
Um, and then he gives her like the Kona Crush head vice thing and picks her up and goes and impales her, into the shower head and makes a shower out of her. And
Yeah,
this
off her
is what
mouth.
I didn't see. This is what I did not see because I just
Right.
saw, you know, almost like his POV picking her up, and then it's implied that he impales her, and then it cut to kind of a profile shot of the side of her with the water coming out of her mouth, like bloody. But
Right.
I've seen still images of this shot of her straight on, and it's pretty horrific. And so I'm
Mm.
guessing that's definitely one of the shots that was, you know, censored,
Mm.
um, which is unfortunate. But I don't know if if in the version you saw, it showed the straight on shot of uh,
I think
Sylvia.
it. I think it did. I can't remember exactly, but I think it did.
Okay.
But then again, the one I watch, I think might have been the same as yours. So it might have been the same as I watched what you've just
It was kind
explained,
of like a
really.
profile shot. You couldn't really tell until you saw the guy come back,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And then he like drops a beer,
Yeah.
and he's just like, "Sylvia," and he starts over snotting out of his mouth. Like it was effective. That was one thing I really did. Also, I liked about this film was um, they really sell a loss. Whereas, a lot of times in slasher films, um, so they find somebody dead or they see somebody get killed and they sell it for a second, but then they're off and going, and it's almost like they almost forget about their fallen friends. Whereas the effects were lasting. You could see definitely with each death, maybe with the exception of Mabel, but sadly, but you saw them mourning, kind of really
Mm.
mourning the deaths of their loved ones. Um, and I've always thought like that's a really effective thing because that's real life, like that's you're not going to just forget about somebody. Um,
Yeah.
you know,
It's yeah, because end of the day, I mean, this is a small town, so these people basically live with each other pretty much. They're rather
yeah,
working with each
love
other,
around each
or
other. They've known each other their whole lives.
yeah, you can imagine they've all gone to school together, they're working together, after work, draw in the bar with each other all the time. So
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. So after the chief arrives at the mine, but he gets a call for dispatch. He decides to turn around.
Well, it's
So
because the dispatch says we just got a call from the insane asylum
that's
with
right.
news
Yeah.
on Harry Warden, and he's sitting there thinking like, "Oh shit, I gotta take this."
Yeah.
And so he leaves the mines right as he gets there
Yeah.
and heads
And
back to
the
find out what the scoop is on Harry Warden's whereabouts.
group decides to go into the mine, and they go into the carts. It stops. Hollis gives a tour, and a couple breaks away from the group, and then all of a sudden you go back to where they're drinking the party upstairs. I suppose you could say the blonde comes running outside the kitchen screaming, saying, "There's a body in the fridge." John, no, it wasn't John, but someone else. No, but then John runs in and says that someone's
Snotting.
killed Sylvia.
Yeah,
And,
he's really
and this
selling.
is this is what I actually like, because where teenagers be running up and down. Oh, I don't know what to do. They just like, right, fuck this, let's get out of here. And everyone leaves except TJ and Axel, pretty much.
Yeah, well,
Um,
Axel had left earlier to go sulk and
hmm,
drink by himself after she basically told them, like, both of them to leave her alone. She was sick of it. So he kind of vanishes a little earlier. The other party had gone down into the mines, and that's when snotting nose John comes back and he's talking about Sylvia. And then we see that, I can't remember who mentioned that hot dog guy had gotten found in the fridge, a couple dongs in
hot
his
dog
face.
guy.
Um, and
One of
so,
each,
yeah,
one of each
everyone,
nose.
yeah, everyone had left. Everyone cuts out and leaves and takes
Well,
off.
Axel says it's Harry Warden, and then TJ says there's still a group of our friends like what's gone into the mine. So yeah, they tell everyone to go, and them two volunteers to go into the mine.
And I thought this was weird too. I mean, it was like, okay, where are they going with this? Because everyone else just kind of went into the mines. Mind you, Hollis wrapped the light around him, but that was about it in terms of equipment, and I think they got helmets or something. Um, but when Axel and TJ are like, we got to go down there and get them, they both take the time to go suit up so that they're almost identical looking in appearance because they're both wearing their mining suits. So I thought that was a little interesting kernel there where you're thinking, why didn't they just go down there if there's such a sense of urgency? They went and took the time to suit up and then go down there. Like, oh wait, I think the filmmakers wanted us to confuse the two. So we'll see where this goes. Um,
Yeah,
and off to the mines they go.
and Hollis is leading Patty and Sarah, and down he's talking about the mines, and then also in Howard pops down as a jump scare, and they
Well,
start
yeah,
laughing.
it's like almost like a head by head thing, right? Because Paul's right here, and then Howard like and like upside down, the jokester, um, and they're saying we don't want to be down here for very long, maybe 10 minutes or something, and then like any group of young adults that are all liquored up, there's always going to be that couple that wants to go bang in the mines. I can't remember these two characters' names, but
Mike and Kerry.
Mike and
Oh no,
Carrie.
not Kerry, Harriet.
Harriet. There it is. Mike and
Yeah.
Harriet. They're like, we'll meet you up there in 10 minutes. And I'm sitting here thinking, 10 minutes, really? Like that's the amount of time you're giving yourself to go. Okay, we'll see.
We'll see. So you see a shot of the mine, and he's starting smashing some of the lights as he's
Yeah.
walking down.
And I thought that was a
Uh,
neat shot that they kept in the remake.
yeah, he's shot for shot, yeah.
Mm-hmm. That was a neat one.
And the one group who's went back into the town, they see the chief and they tell him that people's getting killed. So the chief decides to make his way back towards the mine, and he's on the radio and he's telling everyone that there's been an accident, people's trapped down the mine. So he's still trying to cover it up to prevent a panic, but I think that ship has sailed for there
Yeah.
to be a panic. So TJ finds the group and tells them that Harry's back, and TJ tells Howard to stay with the girls while he goes one way and Hollis goes another way to find Mike and Harriet. So Hollis looking around and he finds the two of them, and there's like this big drill piece what's gone right through the two of them,
Right.
Mike and
And I don't
Harriet.
know if that was a shot that was cut as well, because it's one of those things that, when we cut to Harriet and Mike, they're just starting to slowly kiss. I'm sitting there thinking, like, 10 minutes? Like, y'all have already used up your 10 minutes. You haven't even taken your clothes off yet. Like, are you fucking crazy? So they meet their demise. I didn't see it. I don't know if you
No.
saw. Yes, I don't know if that was one of those shots that got cut out as well, or if it was just one of those shots where it's just like they're dead. We just see them
Yeah,
dead now.
I think I know that like the 9 minutes that was cut out got added back to it, but I think there is some shots what's completely gone,
Yeah.
and I think this might be one of them because I mean it's great to see the shocks like oh wow these two's dead, but you can imagine there was a scene where somehow he impaled these two, while they're in. I mean it's
Yeah.
very reminiscent of is it Friday the 13th? I forgot which movie it is. Actually, it might be number three. I think it's number three.
Right.
And he impales the two of them while they're at it.
I think there's a couple of different uh, two birds with one
Variations.
stone
Yeah,
impaling. Um, you know, if you're a serial killer or a slasher, that's why a lot of times you wait for these kids to start banging because then you can just get two with one blow right there. No pun intended, but like you can really, you
save
know,
time.
yeah, double your money.
So Hollis turns around and the miner's there and he grabs a nail gun,
Yeah,
puts one to the temple, starts running down, and he gets one smack there.
I
And
know. I was almost emotionally checked out when Hollis gets offed. It's like, it's the only person I wanted to see survive this whole mess. Sad.
he he does manage to make it back to the group to warn them,
It's
or
true.
somehow warn them best way he
Yeah,
could.
it's like dropping
Uh,
dead.
so the girls, so it's Patty, Sarah, and Howard, and they see the miner walking down. Howard just, hides tails and runs away. He's like, "Fuck this shit! He's dead. He's dead." And like Sarah's going after him, and he's like, "He's dead. There's nothing you can do." Well, Patty won't leave Hollis, and she's
And
like
that's the thing.
devastated.
That's so sad. Like she didn't want to leave her man, and like I thought that was another little really neat kind of just one of those touching moments. Where it's like like that's love. That's
Oh yeah,
love. You see your man with nails sticking out of his face, and he's obviously dead. Like we can't leave him down here. It's like, be my guest, trying to pick up the heaviest guy in the whole movie and take him back up to the, out of the mine. Good luck, Patty. You're on your own.
So Axel arrives to help the girls, and he hits. They're going round, and they hear someone come around the corner, and I think he grabs like a plank of wood or 2x4, and he hits the person. It turns out to be TJ. Hits him by mistake. So the four of them's a group again, and yeah, the chief is at the mine, and he tells the group to come, so they join him, and
We
yeah,
lost Howard here, though, didn't we? Or didn't we lose Howard? He runs off.
not he runs off Howard.
Yeah.
Um, so that's right. So the group gets to the lift, but they see that the panel's been smashed. So they decide to start climbing this ladder. Patty's taken forever to climb the ladder. I think Axel's at the top, and as they're climbing, all of a sudden a body drops hanging, and it's Howard. But you can tell it comes down hanging by the neck, and as soon as it stops, his head separates from his body, and I'm like, wow, that's a
Yeah.
good scene.
Yeah. I thought that was pretty brutal. Like you never see that. You always see just the body sitting there hanging. You see the body complete, but for it to fall, I mean, I guess it gives you an idea of the distance that it had to fall for his head to literally pop off. And I
Yeah,
thought that you don't see that, and
no.
you never see that. So
Is
because
that
it
is that is
blood
that realistic?
sprays all over Sarah, doesn't it, on the stairs or on the ladder or something? And I think like as it happens, one of
I
them
think
gets
someone
sprayed
gets
with
on it.
blood.
Is that something realistically that would happen? It's something I've never really thought about. Like, surely to God, that's something that could actually happen.
I would think that would happen more often than not.
Yeah,
You know, unless they got like these crazy Goldberg necks or something. But
that's true.
you know.
So they see Howard's body, so they climb back down. Axel tells the group to go ahead, and they're walking ahead, and they can hear a grunt and a splash, and they look, and Axel's gone, and they see some bubbles in the water, so they think he's. I don't know how deep that bit of
Yeah,
water
because
is, but
it's
they
lost its footing and fell over the ledge into
yeah,
the water. And I think they said something like it was 60 feet or something. And I thought, like, how in the like what? Like
yeah.
what?
I'm like, it's a mine. Is there water in mines? So I haven't got a clue. I've never been down the mine. I couldn't tell you.
There you go. I don't know.
So TJ tells the girls to go ahead, and then he goes missing. So there's definitely the red herring now. It's rather right. It's Axel, it's TJ, or it is this what's he
Harry
called now?
Warden.
Harry Warden.
Harry Warden is
Oh, I
back.
thought his name was Robert Howard. I'm thinking, is that like a singer or someone?
I think that's
Um,
Bob. I think that's Bob Holly's real name, actually. Robert.
really, it
Yeah.
is, isn't it? Oh, Sparky Plug.
He would be good in a
Uh,
movie like this.
he would be actually. He'd be right up his sleeve.
He was in
So
Operation Seymour.
I haven't seen that.
Don't worry about it. Ron
So
Perlman. We'll cover it maybe some other time.
we'll
But
cover
yeah,
it.
Patty's still alive here, isn't she? Or is she?
Well,
She's about to.
well, not for much longer. So her
No.
and Sarah's walking. Also, and the pit comes around the corner, hits Patty right into the stomach, and that's the end of Patty.
That's right.
Um, we go to back to the outside the mine. There's the police and these other miners, the town basically. So they all start going into the town. TJ finds Sarah again, and yeah, they jump into a car, and the miner jumps into the car as well. So all of them's in there. They're having a fight on the carts. They go to the side. You see the police in the town running down the shaft, and as they go into this little section, the three of them, and as they're fighting, Patty rips off the mask, and the miner turns out to be Axel.
Son of a bitch. We knew he was
And
too nice of a guy to be true. Now, I'd
was
like
it
to think that
TJ or
Spielberg was inspired by this mining car bit for Temple of Doom and that
yeah?
whole mining car. I would like to think that that's what inspired that whole sequence in Temple of Doom, but it could just be wishful thinking. I don't know. He did it much
So,
better.
oh yeah. So we see a flashback. I forgot if it was TJ or Sarah actually asked them why. Um, I forgot which one. One of them does. So it gives you a flashback. So there's Axel as a child 20 years previously, and he's under the bed, and his father's in the room. I don't know if he's doing his tie swing, and all of a sudden Harry Warden's behind, kills his father, and blood splashes over Axel, and he's under the bed, stuck in his
Right.
thumb. I think it was 20 years previously. He was probably like 26, I would say. He was probably 6 years old at this time, maybe.
I was like, you're 26 hiding under the bed.
he's looking he's looking good for 46 now. Um,
Yeah.
so so yeah, so it basically drives him insane. Um, so yeah, so there's a cave in that happens. Axel gets trapped. Sarah and TJ gets out. They tell the chief and the town that it's Harry, and they go in. And well, the chief says we know it's not Harry Warden because Harry died 5 years ago. That's what the
Yeah.
phone call was from the mental asylum. So as TJ and Sarah's walking away, the
But it's
mine is
Sarah,
clearing.
isn't it? That says, I want to see him. He's still in there. Like, I want to see that he's.
Yeah, when they're clearing the rubble, yeah, they can hear. She
Yeah.
can hear him clearing the rubble, so she goes back in. They see his arm, so she goes to grab it, and then it starts moving, and you see him, Axel, starting to cut his own arm off. That was cut, but I got the version. Did you get that version?
He cuts his own arm off?
Yeah,
No, I don't know that I got. It was a little confusing, the cut that I got, because I saw the arm come out, and it didn't look like it would. It almost looked like a female arm. It was weird. And then, like, and then it cuts to a shot of him like in a cave in the back or something. He's like,
yeah,
"You're mine, Sarah. Like, you'll always be mine," or something. And he's like going crazy, but I didn't
Well,
know if he was
before,
clutching his arm or what.
oh yeah, like the scene I show, he's actually cutting his arm off, and
Okay,
he cuts it off, and then, like you said, he goes crazy. He goes, "Harry, I'm coming to you," and he starts
that's right.
singing. He's off his tits, basically. He's going crazy, and which is weird because obviously, I mean, you can tell he's crazy, but throughout this film, like, there's no signs of him being crazy. If anything, you look at TJ, who's got more of the dark look, and Axel
Yeah,
looks fairly normal during this whole film. There's like no signs of him being crazy. The only time you see him being angry is whenever he has a fight, when he had a fight with TJ, like in the office, and that was
right.
it. So,
Yeah,
um, but yeah, cuts his arm off. He starts laughing. Fade to black, and you hear the Harry Warden song. Would you believe this is
Valentine.
Quentin Tarantino's favorite slasher movie of all time?
That's um, that's surprising. That's really surprising to me. Because um, it is very different. It's definitely a product of the '80s, late '70s, early
Hmm.
'80s. Hey, who's going to question Tarantino, right? And what he views as epic cinema? He would have a whole book of reasons as to why the film is the greatest slasher that he's ever seen. I can't say the same for myself. I'm sure it's not the best slasher that you've ever seen.
Hmm.
So it's, but it's definitely one of those that stands out, um,
It was
and it's definitely worth.
enjoyable.
Yeah, it is enjoyable. Again,
It is.
I didn't enjoy it as much as the remake. Obviously, just
Hmm.
production value and tone and just the pace of the remake. I felt, um, and but I think one of the things that this film, it is a dark film, not just in story but in look of it, and I think a lot of it has to do, like, with what you said in terms of only being able to use certain kinds of lights and
Hmm.
only being able to light certain frames a certain way, because of that threat of that methane gas, and so it's not Alien vs Predator Requiem bad
Oh
in
no.
terms of just the whole thing is dark and they didn't, they lit the
Yeah.
thing with a flashlight. uh that was just atrocious, but
We're not.
um
By the way, everyone who's watching this, we are not reviewing Requiem
ever
ever.
ever. So yeah, but you know very grainy. This is like the quintessential drive-in movie. Like, it's
Yeah.
like exactly what you would look for like a drive-in date night movie.
Hmm.
So I do recommend it. I think it's something that, if you have a holiday, or if you have a Valentine in mind that you want to cozy up with, like Mike and Harriet on the couch, and hopefully both of you will get impaled with a giant screwdriver or whatever the hell it was. um, well, then have at it. You know what I mean? And if you want one of you goes to get beers, make sure both of you go,
Yeah.
or be ready to come back and see your significant other turn into a shower head. Um, and if you're have a hunger for hot dongs in the boiling water, again, make sure you use tongs and keep your head away from the pot.
Hmm.
Because if you go and you try and sniff up all that steaming dong moisture, you're gonna get it. Harry Warden's
Oh
gonna
yeah.
get you.
So you brought up an interesting point about Harry Warden doesn't get the same recognition as like your Freddys, your Myers, Jasons and stuff. Obviously, I think one of the reasons for it because it's not exactly a franchise. You had the remake in 2007, 2008,
2009.
2009. Wow,
Yeah.
uh, wow, man, that's 14 years ago. Shit.
Yeah.
I remember seeing that in the cinema. Um, so it isn't for the lack of trying. They haven't tried to do sequels because they have. They had, the Return of the Miner, I think it was titled. So,
Right.
some of the ideas was that Axel comes back, and Axel comes back. Sarah's now
Sarah's
the
the sheriff,
chief,
right?
the
Yeah, the
sheriff.
chief. Yeah.
Yeah, and TJ's got, PTSD, and he's a drunk, and I think it's a twist where he's actually the killer at the end. One of the other scripts, Valentine Wakes, I think it was called. It was like, they was remembering the killings, awake from, like morning from. Um, Sarah and TJ's got a kid, but it's actually Axel's kid. She was so basically trying to say during this movie she was pregnant, but she had no idea. So that's driven TJ to be a drunk. In all these scenarios, TJ is not mentally well.
No.
And the daughter is the teenager and revolves about her and her friends. I think the first one, there was two sons. In this draft, it was like she's the daughter. She realizes Axel was her father, and she questions if she's going to be like her mother and TJ, like a good person, or she's going to be like Axel and be this crazy person. The funny thing is, that is the exact plot of Scream 5.
Oh, really? Oh
Have you seen Scream 5?
No, no. I know it's like he's hunting down the relatives of victims or
Yeah.
something. So,
Well, essentially, the main girl in it, I forgot the name of her character, turns out her father's actually Billy Loomis.
oh, interesting.
And she sees visions of Billy Loomis, like talking to her and stuff, and she questions herself, am I going to be a psychopath like, Billy Loomis? Uh, But I remember watching it and the dates didn't work out for some reason. Well,
Oh, weird.
that's something for another day. But anyway, she thinks, am I crazy? I'm going to be crazy like my dad. So someone must have saw these drafts for my Blue Valentine sequel because that's the exact plot for Scream
Maybe,
5.
maybe. I mean, I think
So
also there's a lack of a supernatural element. So, whereas with Jason and Freddy, and obviously Pinhead is straight from hell, and you have Michael Myers, Thorn subplot notwithstanding. But there's a
the Fawn
supernatural.
trilogy is awesome. Okay.
I agree, man. Hey, come on.
Yeah.
Paul Rudd is my Tommy Doyle.
Hell yeah.
I really did like Anthony Michael Hall.
I didn't.
But you know, um, you can only really kind of come back with it being a copycat killer
Hmm.
or a generation like a bloodline killer. It's like if you kill Harry Warden, and in this they said he's dead. He wasn't even the killer. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, so
Well, that
what
could have
can
been
you
the
do with
treat.
it?
Yeah, because that's the thing. It's a different killer to Harry Warden. I mean, if they did do a sequel, they could have done Axel coming back as the killer. And
Right.
s- so the I mean, we'll be finishing up in a minute, but I just want to quick talk about the remake because it's something I would like to do perhaps next year for next Valentine's Day if CineMarks
Sure.
still goes till then.
Hey,
Um,
come on. Of course we will.
well, we will. Um, so obviously it's a remake. A lot of things different, like the killings, a lot of the storyline, very different. I would personally say, and there is a lot of difference. So the ending, spoiler alert for people, you can skip these 20 seconds. Well, skip these 2 minutes. It's flipped. TJ is actually the killer, not Axel. TJ's
Did
played
they
by
say
Jens.
TJ in the remake? Because I knew there was an Axel, but was the other
I,
character actually named TJ? I
I
didn't
think
remember.
so. Well, Axel is, and you reminded me, Kerr Smith.
Yeah, Kurt
So
Smith.
he's the chief or sheriff in the remake,
Right.
and TJ and Jens Nagels, I think he's called TJ. I'm pretty sure he is. He actually went away because, like, he saw. So the beginning of the movie, they see Harry Warden killing everyone, and he gets PTSD from it. he goes away. Turns out he was in a crazy home, and he comes back and he's still suffering from it. Turns out he's actually the killer in the movie. It's a great twist, and it's
Yeah.
completely flipped from this one. And at the end of that film, he gets trapped, and the firefighters comes to save him. But he actually kicks the pick into one of the firefighters' eyes. He puts on the firefighter outfit, and Jensen Ackles from Supernatural, who's TJ, he actually gets away in the end. So that could have left for a sequel. I think it was wrote by Todd Farmer, who I don't mind actually. Todd Farmer's
No,
all
I
right.
like Todd Palmer. He's in the film as well as the
Memorable
Chuck.
scene for them.
Yeah, 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 with the naked
What a great
chick
scene! What a great
who
scene to write yourself in.
fights. She's kicking ass too, naked, full front. Like
Oh,
it's
she's great.
insane. That's an insane sequence there. But yeah,
So, but yeah, so they could have made a sequel to that, but I don't know if the ship has sailed on it. But then again, I wouldn't say the ship has sailed. Jensen Ackles still in good shape. I presume Kerr Smith is, and that is it. Jamie Alexander, I think, plays the Sarah in that. I think. Is it Jamie Alexander? I think so. Jamie King, sorry. Yeah, I get mixed up. Jamie King. So it'll be nice to see them do a sequel to that. But the remake, it's like I enjoy this movie, but I actually prefer the remake. So it's actually one of the few remakes what's actually better than the original,
yeah,
in my
yeah.
opinion.
I think with different reason. Yeah. But man, this original really does have a lot of charm to it. You know, as we've mentioned, it's super Canadian. So, uh, you know, be ready for that. But, you
Cool.
know, if you have a Valentine in mind, put some hot dogs on the pot to steam. Get your whatever the beers were that they had in here. I can't remember what they were.
Oh,
But yeah, it's a fun ride, you
Mooseheads
know.
or something.
Moosehead, yeah, or something very everything is Canadian
We'll,
in
we'll
this
ask
film.
Renee. We'll ask Renee tomorrow. Cool. Well, everyone,
So
thank you for tuning in to another episode of CineMarks, episode number 3. So, providing this is edited right, happy Valentine's to everyone. Paul,
happy Valentine.
You've got the choice for the next movie. We're gonna surprise everyone. You go tell people now.
Ah, we'll leave it to be a surprise. We've given them quite a lot to chew on with uh with Harry Warden and all the tricks and treats of this film. So stay tuned. Stay tuned because it'll be something that you will not expect. Of course, you probably won't expect any of these, but enjoy My Bloody Valentine. And if you have time, check it out. Check out the remake. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Like and subscribe, as all the idiots say. um, and yeah, thank you. This has been fun. This has been a lot of fun.
Good. Right, everyone. Thanks, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye.